Okay, guys. So this time what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna go under the assumption that you don't know much about graphs. Maybe just some basic information. Um, and let's talk about some things that we can use to help us solve equations, and along down the road, it'll help us in our higher level mathematics. So hopefully, let's just basic definitions. First of all, we should know that this line here that's horizontal, this is our x-axis. Here that's going vertically, this is our y-axis. And then another important thing that we talk about is right here where they intersect. This is called our origin. And what's important about that is it has a coordinate point of 0, 0. Now, if you didn't know this, when we write coordinates, we write them in the x and then the y coordinates. So let's just go over a couple of these to make sure that we're fully aware and understand how this all works. And then on the next video, then we'll talk about using these to solve. So the next thing we're going to do is let's go across, and we're going to go down. You can draw this anywhere. It doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of students like to use graphing paper. Realistically, guys, graphing paper is great, but it's not always readily available. You can do something like this. Just kind of draw lines and then do little dashes. Ideally, you want them as similar to distance as possible, but honestly, what we're doing is it's not that big of a deal right now. When we get to solving them and using intersections and stuff like that, I'll pull up a graph and use it like that. So let's just go through this. And let's do the first thing. First thing, we're going to draw a point. We're going to label it A, and we're going to say, okay, A is in coordinates 2, 3. Now, if you remember number lines, when we go to the right, they are positive, and when we go to the left, they are negative. And when we're talking about going up and down the y-axis, when we go up, they're x. Sorry, not x. That wouldn't make any sense. When we go up, they are positive, and when we go down, they are negative. So 2, 3. So that's our x, and this is our y. So this tells us to go to the right 2 and up 3. So right 2 and then up 3. Right here, we're going to label it A. And we want to take a look at this. So we're going to do 4 of them. A, B, C, D, and we're going to do just some, just to show. Let's do -4, -3, and then we'll say 1 and I don't know. Let's do -2. So the idea behind this is that we want to take a look at this, and we're going to talk about quadrants. So B, -2, 2. So this means we go to the left 2 and up 2. So to the left 2 and then up 2. And that is B. -4, -3 means we go to the left 4 and down 3. So start here in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is C. D, we go to the right 1 and down 2. So we start here at the origin. We go right 1 and then we go down 2. And this is D. Now, so this is basically how we label stuff. Things that you want to start realizing, understanding, because it does come up later in mathematics. We usually introduce it in Algebra 1, is that we have 4 quadrants. And it's always a little confusing, but this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And typically we do use Roman numerals. We don't, it's just a math thing that we have to get used to. And if you notice, our coordinates in quadrant 1 are positive, positive. Quadrant 2 is negative, positive. Quadrant 3 is negative, negative. And quadrant 4 is a positive, negative. And again, I'm introducing this to you, and this is something that you really kind of need to know down the road. And as you get introduced to it, as you're doing stuff more and more, then we can kind of talk. This is basically called this math language, so that it makes things easier. Couple grades from now, you're going to talk about the unit circle, and it becomes a very big thing about knowing these quadrants and these positives and negatives. So let's try this again, but in this case, so I'm going to create a grid. The magic of using a computer. So I'm going to make a grid, make it nice and relatively nice. Let's kind of straighten this up. Uh-oh. That's not good. We'll just leave it like that. Okay. So we're gonna take all these lines as dashes. So we're going to say, all right, well, what is this? This. Let's do right here. And then let's do here. And say E. And there's a reason why I'm doing these. So A. So we start or here's A. So we start at our origin. We count over to the left. 1, 2, 3. So we go to the left 3, and then we're going to go up 3. So that gives us negative 3, 3. Then we're going to say B. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the right. Well, that's positive this time. And then we're going to go up 1, 2. Right, so we think about this. We go 1, 2, 3, and then we go up 1, 2. Right, now C. All right, now C should be easy. And it should be, this is our origin, and our origin is 0, 0. D, notice when we start here at the origin, we don't go left or right. So that's 0. You always people mistake. Well, we don't do anything. No, there's nothing there. Nothing is a number. Nothing does. We represent it as 0. But we go down 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives us a negative 4. And then E, we go to the right 1, 2. But again, we don't go up or down. Now, these are two special types of points that we need to talk about. Notice where D is at. D is on the y-axis. And we call it when something crosses with intercepts. So this is the y-intercept, meaning it intersects. Is the right term, is the right English word, but it's the y-intercept. And if we look at the other one, oh look, E is, oh look, it intercepts the x-axis. So this is called the x-intercept. The x-intercept. Now hopefully you're saying, oh wait a minute, what about C? C is at the origin. Hopefully you're seeing this. What does that do? Isn't that intercepting both the x and the y? Right? Zeros on both sides. In this case, if we were drawing a line, it could actually be both the x and y intercept. And that is important to know going down the road. So yes, the intercept can be zeros. Now, why is this important? I want to just do a little graph for you. You know, I really, and I don't want to dive into the weeds too much because there's a lot of information that we can get from a graph, but it would be too overwhelming for this little segment. All right, so here's there's our y-axis. This is our x-axis. Now, you see me drawing these arrows, that means it goes indefinitely or infinite. All right, so x and y-axis. If we remember from our previous video, we talked about our lemonade stand, and that was super important because what were we trying to get? We were trying to get it to where we made. Then we had to make $400, or we didn't know we had to make. Sorry, we had to make $500. We had I think our equation was 2x minus 100 needs to be equal to 400. And this is a big deal because we need to know how this all works, and we can graph this. So we're going to take this a simple step, and then we'll dive into that a little bit more. Let's say each of these lines represent 2. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And we're just going to talk about selling lemonade. Well, let's think about this, guys. What would happen if x, we're gonna 2x equals question mark, and I'm gonna draw a little table over here, x and our question mark. What happens if we sell 0 amount of lemonade? Well, that means we get 0 amount of money. Oh, well, my input, or how many I sold, is 0. My output, or how much money I made, is 0. Well, we represent that as y. So 0, 0 is my initial value. Now this is interesting. So I'm gonna cut these in half just so I can make them. So we're calling this 2, 4, 6. Okay. What happens if I sell 1 lemonade? Well, I'll put 1 in for x. So how much money? Oh, when I sell, I get $2. Well, what if I sell 2 lemonades? That goes up to 4. Well, what if I sell 3 lemonades? That goes up to 6. What if I sell 4 lemonades? That goes up to 8. Now, why is this important? Because look what I can do. I can now draw a line, and this becomes a prediction. Now, this really isn't a prediction. This is kind of a model, because now I can truly, if I had a really, really big graph and I could draw this indefinitely, I could figure out, well, what would my number be if I sold 125? And I could look on the graph. Again, I don't want to go too much farther, but this is why we need to know our coordinates. Okay, so this is just very, very basic introduction to graphing. Make sure you guys fully understand this.